Let's talk about your books, Pivotal. I really like the tagline, creating stability in an uncertain world, which is a key theme in the journey to reinvention, is the fact that there's just so much uncertainty when you are reinventing yourself. So let's talk a little bit about it, because there's a specific chapter where you actually apply these innovation ideas to our career.
Sure. So the concept of pivotal is in some respects trying to be the antidote to the perpetual pivoting that's been taking place in businesses, certainly since the pandemic, but even before the pandemic. And you and I met, I think it was actually at the Orlando Magic Innovation Challenge, right?
Yep,
yeah,
that's right.
So that's where we got first connected. So basketball is actually one of the key metaphors I use in the book. And the reason is because if you think about a pivot in basketball or a pivot in business, is it's about the change. So in basketball, you've got a foot that's moving around in circles. In business, we're changing direction. The pandemic hit, we've got to change direction. Recession hits, we got to change direction. Inflation, change direction. Supply chain. So we got all these things bombarding us and we're changing direction. So we're spinning around in circles, getting dizzy. But nobody realizes that when we pivot, certainly in basketball, but I would argue in business, there is a foot that doesn't move. Because if both feet are moving, it's not a pivot. It would be traveling, would be the basketball term. And so we're really focused on the foot that doesn't move. I call it the planted foot. And this book is all around the planted foot. And the planted foot is the one that gives you that stability, the one that gives you the greatest impact. And we're always so focused. We're always so focused on what's next and what's new that we're never really focused on what's now. What do we do now that is powerful? And we're so focused on what should change, we rarely ask the question, well, what shouldn't change inside of our organization? What do we do better than anyone else that if we could leverage it today would pay dividends tomorrow? And that is really the essence of the book, is it's about leveraging the parts of your business or the parts of your life that shouldn't change because they make you special and they create impact in the world.
In anyone's journey to reinvention, it's easy to think, if I'm reinventing myself from, like my case, I'm a national account salesperson, to become a math teacher, to make that leap, well, I have to leave everything behind. What planted foot, right? I'm not even thinking in those terms. And that's why I think this is a really big idea, because in practice, I learned there were things that I brought with me. And even in such a radical reinvention, I felt like there is something there that I can draw on. And I feel like that was what you meant by the metaphorical foot in the ground. Like, let's talk a little bit about how someone might apply it, in their life, and I want to lift up one quote, and I didn't capture it perfectly, but essentially it said, instead of a destination, find what inspires you and meander with purpose. I really like this line. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, that actually is out of an earlier book of mine, Goal-Free Living. And the premise was that we're always trying to use a map. We're trying to create plans. We're trying to create destinations. We're trying to create this, I do this, I do this, I do this. This is my 5-year plan and I'm going to execute it and I'm going to get to where I want. But first of all, the world is unpredictable and it throws things at us that we don't expect. But also we make these plans, these maps with such limited amount of information. I mean, even if you're, an old guy like I am, I've only had a small, the number of experiences I could have, it's an infinitesimally small amount of experiences I've had relative to what I could have. So the general idea is to basically use a compass, not a map, have a sense of direction, but not a specific destination, and then meander with purpose. And what meandering with purpose means is that instead of always trying to figure out where am I going to be in 5 years, you sort of ask yourself, well, what's the next step? Based on new information I just received, new experiences I've had, new data that I have, do I continue to move in the direction I've been going, or do I course correct? And you're constantly course correcting based on new information, new data, new insights, and even new areas of interest. And one of the biggest challenges for a lot of people, though, is their lives aren't designed for adventure. What I mean by adventure is I don't mean scaling mountains, but I mean new experiences. So Steve Jobs once said that creativity is just having enough dots to connect. Creativity is just having enough dots to connect. Dots being ideas or experiences And the people who are most creative have had more experiences than other people.
Yeah.
The problem is, for many of us, we've had the same experiences over and over and over. So when we're proud of our expertise, I've been an expert in so-and-so for 10 years. No, you've done the same thing for 10 years. So you've got basically 1 year of expertise done 10 times over, as opposed to saying, how do I keep on moving in a different direction? How do I keep on learning?
Mm-hmm.
How do I get new experiences and then course correct and learn as you go? It's a fundamentally different way to living your life. And it's a very powerful way to even make some business decisions.
Mm-hmm. There's this idea of being creative is about having enough dots to be able to do something with it, I think is a really, really great way of putting it. This is why it's so important that we're out there talking to different people. It's about getting to talk to those folks who, empower me with 6 or 8 really powerful ideas from every event that I go to, and being able to add to my dot collection so that I can come up with something even more creative.